But we generally we know that the crude oil price is already beginning to drop again. As a matter of fact, it has dropped to about I think 7-month lows or thereabouts. Yes. Couldn't this have also contributed to the trend that we are seeing now?
Precisely. When I meant that crude oil prices, I mean the FX concern, of course, it's largely attributed to the fact that crude oil prices have gone down, have been pressured. Okay. I think we've gotten to as low as $43 per barrel. And that means that our income from sale of crude oil is impaired or is coming down, which means our capacity to supply FX into the Nigeria is impaired. So, yeah.
So let's also take a look at what the announcement of the MSCI to delay the reclassification of Nigerian index at that on that platform to a standalone. You know, the delay is now till November or thereabouts. Did that also have any kind of implications on what we're seeing?
Well, it is important to measure the impact of our FX strategy and how sustainable it is, and of course the delay is largely so that everything is duly considered to make sure that a proper verdict is reached. So yes, I can't necessarily think that that's a major concern, okay. Because the truth is we've seen the fact that foreign investors have come in with or without that MSCI coming on board. But the truth is, I think the major concern for the market is largely the fact that we are seeing profit taking and, of course, the FX concerns.
So you're bullish on next week?
No, I'm actually cautiously optimistic. Bullish is something I won't want to throw out there because I still think that if there's pressure on crude oil prices, then we will still not see an aggressive return of foreign investors buying again. What we would see is them being conscious of where this is going to play out and how Nigeria will, as a matter of fact, react to it. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we would see intermittent profit taking, but my general perception is that we'll still probably close the week on a high.
After all, we're still in a positive year-to-date level. Now let's look at the other domestic issues that dictated the performance of the market this week. One of the major ones is the press release from Etisalat talking about the initiation of the process to convert syndicate loan by these 13 banks, you know, into either convert them into equity for these banks in Etisalat, or better still, restructure those loans. Talk to us about how this impacted on the banking stocks particularly.
For me, the angle I would want to look at it from is the fact that we've highlighted for the longest possible time that asset quality is a major concern. So what this brings to the fore is the fact that people will begin to look at other dynamics making up the the loan book position of these banks to see where there can potentially be another Etisalat case. And like I said in a discussion before now, power sector is also a place that people will be concerned about. I don't think that it would have played any major part in how the market has traded recently, because the truth is that this news has actually been in the market for a bit, and a lot of people are already in the know. So this might probably have been priced in already.
Because again, we see that they actually have some kinds of really negative exposures to that. A lot of the banks, I think there are 13 of them, but about 10 of them are listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and that has a way of impacting when you have non-performing loans like that. You know, they all have a way of impacting on the earnings of a lot of these companies. But talking about restructuring and the options of equity conversion, which do you think would be appropriate? Yes, there was a press release as well from the central bank yesterday that, you know, the CBN is intervening as against what obtained in the past. It should have been from AMCON. So given this crossroads that we are right now with these banks, do you think equity conversion or restructuring would have been the best option for them?
Well, I don't know that banks have the competence to play in telecoms as a business, as a major stakeholder, or as a stakeholder in any case. So I think they should just stick to the fact that they need that loan functional. So if it comes to restructuring the terms to make it more to make it easier for Etisalat to be able to maybe extend the period of repayment or renegotiate terms based on new economic realities, I think that's a better, more efficient strategy for me. I do not understand why it is important for these banks to convert to equity.
Let's quickly take a look at with what we have on screen. Exposure of the in terms of percentage now of these banks. Zenith Bank has 3.49%. GT Bank has got 2.64%. Access Bank 2.21%, and so on and so forth for other banks that we've got there. Most of them tier 1 banks. In terms of the half year, with this status that they have regarding this exposure to Etisalat issue right now, what would you make of their half-year earnings?
I do not subscribe to the fact that this would materially alter negatively the half-year performance. I think that a lot of the impact of this would have already been provided for to some extent. So it would have probably, the majority of this exposure would have probably hit their book value position as of now. So I think we'll see pretty decent numbers for H1 in line with Q1 performances. But for me, generally, the major concern is asset quality for particularly tier 1 banks. And it speaks to why I haven't really considered a lot of the opportunities in tier 2 banks, because I think if asset quality is going to be a major challenge and is something that people should pay attention to, then I think the tier 1 banks have larger capacity to absorb these risks than tier 2. Okay,
before we take our break, let's look at what corn oil earnings did to the markets this week. I think it came in with an impressive impressive numbers as well.
I think the number that was released was the full year.
2016.
2016. Well, the thing is, for me, I worry about, it's impressive speaking to the numbers, but I worry about a company that consistently hasn't released results as at when due. So for me, it speaks to corporate governance, and it doesn't help the position of any investor who wants to take a proactive, futuristic outlook on this company. Because if you're going to be releasing audited numbers a long time after most of your contemporaries have done so, for me, it doesn't speak of an effective corporate governance strategy. So I think the company should do better with reporting on time as at when due.
Because so that, again, there's an announcement for another delay. I think that's for the Q1 days.
Which for me is
all right.
Really
let me quickly call, and then let's go on break. We'll come back after this short break and we'll continue the discussion around the markets.